Hi, this is Kim, and welcome to Session 3 of Women Learning Tech, Create a Website. This week we're going to be concentrating on website design, and you're actually going to start creating your website using a tool called Weebly. Now, when we first started out, I said that pretty much anyone can create a website, and that's true. There's these amazing tools like Weebly that make it very easy for anybody to create a website. But I think one of the things that you do with design is you figure out why you're doing it. Just because you can create it doesn't mean that anybody's going to actually want to visit it. And so we're going to be looking, before we dive into the tool, at some design considerations, some things you should think about when you're putting together your website. So let's just dive right in here. These are ideas that I have been using in website design since I started. And they might seem pretty obvious, but if you don't think about them, it's going to definitely cause you issues later on. So the first is very simple. What is the purpose of your website? Do you know what you want your website to do? Now I'm going to use my Teen Tech Girls website as an example as I go through these. So for Teen Tech Girls, there's really sort of three purposes of the website. One, I was just collecting a lot of information about other resources that were getting girls involved in technology, the issues that were out there, things like that. And I wanted to have a place that I could make them available for other people as well. So that was one purpose. The second purpose was I wanted girls and women, when they visited the site, to feel like it was a welcoming place and something that was attractive looking to them. And three, I wanted it to be a place where, okay, I've convinced you that getting girls involved in technology, learning, and computer science is a good thing. What are you going to do? What can you do next? And so that's why I have some things like the ACT and stuff like that. So those were my purposes. And the target audience, sometimes that will also help you figure out, especially the look and feel. Like I said, I wanted women and girls to feel like this was a site that was welcoming to them. And I didn't want to obviously do the girly up of a website because I don't think that's right, but I personally am into butterflies and sort of graphic design, and so I found this background and was able to incorporate it because it came from a stock-free website, and that's sort of what I used as the basis. So I found this image, and then in Weebly, when I was looking for a template to use, I found this template that kind of go along with it. Now it just happened to have the pink, and I haven't decided if I'm a fan of it or not, but it seemed to fit well with everything else that was going on the screen. Okay, and then you want to think about your content. You want to make sure that your content is accurate, that it's timely, and that it's concise. What drives people nuts is content that's wrong, content that's old, or content that just scrolls on and on down the screen. And one of the things I was thinking about when I did this is, I tried to have very little scrolling. And so if I had to break things up, like here, I had to break things up into different categories so that I wouldn't have too much of that going on. So here I've got highlighting creations of girls, and this might go on a little bit, but then I also might find a better way to organize these images as I get more creations submitted. The other thing is I wanted to make sure that my website was always fresh and up to date, so every month I have a different content on the home page, and I always make sure that, like, my actions that I tell people that they can take, some of them are time sensitive, as you can see here, so I try to keep up with that, and especially with events and things like that. The other thing I would say is never, ever, ever put a page under construction. If you don't have a page ready, if you don't have most of your pages ready for your website, I wouldn't even launch it. That is just, you don't have much time to capture people's attention, and if they get to an under construction page, they'll often just bail out of your website and they won't come back to check and see when you have your stuff together. Ease of use. You want to organize your content in such a way that it's easy for people to find it. Provide meaningful navigation and provide consistency throughout your site. Now the consistency is pretty easy with Weebly because you're getting a template that follows you throughout the site. This is more of an issue if you're creating your website from scratch and you need to make sure that all of your pages and stuff have a consistent look and feel. And what I've tried to do again is organize, and I have been working on this. I've been tweaking it a little bit, and later on I'll show you some of the ways that you can organize pages to go with each other. But another thing we'll do next week is what's called usability testing, and this is a really great way to find out if people really can navigate around your site as you get other people to try it out for you. And that's a great way to make sure you've got that ease of use going on. And of course, there's a lot of ways to jazz up your website with images and animations and multimedia content. But again, just adding it for the flash and the, making the pizzazz there is not enough. It really needs to be there to reinforce the site's goal, to tell a story, and to aid in the navigation. So again, we'll go back to the home page. You'll notice that this time I actually have a movie preview on my home page, and that's because Teen Tech Girls is actually hosting this premiere of Girl Rising, and so it makes sense for it to be on the home page. But if I just every time put up a random video without any context, then I don't think that is adding to the site. And finally, interactivity. When you're on a web, people expect interactivity. And again, it shouldn't just be your hard copy brochure. You should provide a way for people to contact you, for people to get involved, for them to take next steps. And so that's why it was very important for me to have especially this ACT section where I provide links to other places, and I also throughout my site use the comment back. So do you have an action you'd like to suggest? I didn't do it on resources. There'd be a good one to do it. On air is actually I've collaborated, or somebody else is doing this, Geek Girl Diaries, and they're actually she's actually in London, and so if somebody would like to schedule an interview to be interviewed by her, they can fill out the form here, and I'll forward it on to her. So there's the basics of what you want to consider when you're doing website design. The other thing I think that is very helpful is to find websites that you like, that you find appealing to look at, that it's easy navigation, and take a look at those and get inspiration. So here are some of the websites that I looked at that had to do with the subject area I was interested in. Black Girls Code. You can see maybe I got some of my thoughts about the background and things from this site. Girl Start is another program and website. Now this one I actually think has a little bit too much going on, but it's definitely appealing. .diva I think is a great site and provides again a lot of information. And this one I just discovered, and I like this scrolling images across the screen, and this is something that can be done with Weebly as well. Now what I noticed as I was going back through here is all the navigation on these sites is at the top, and I've chosen navigation on the side for mine, and I'm kind of wondering now if I need to go back and relook at that. So actually that's something I'm going to be looking at the next time I make a major update to the Teen Tech Girls website. The other thing I want to talk about is, now that you're going to be adding your own content and your own images, here's some tips that you're going to need. When you're working with images, when we were working with images before using the Mozilla tools, we just went to Google and found images and used them, and that's because we were in a learning process and weren't using them for our own website. But when you're creating your own website, you're going to want images that either you've created or that have the right Creative Commons license or are free stock images. And so here's some tools that you can use. CompFight will go to a search engine that will look for Flickr images. Creative Commons will go to a search engine that will look for images that have been identified as Creative Commons. And then Stock Exchange has free stock photos. So these are ones that I've used quite a bit. Now, you also might need to do some image editing, mostly in the area of cropping images or resizing them so they'll be useful for your website. And tools to do that are, if you've got a PC, I highly recommend Paint.net. It's one of my regrets of moving to the Mac is that I can't use Paint.net anymore. But on the Mac, I use Seashore. And if you want a little bit more, more Photoshop-like editor, GIMP. Again, these are all free or open source so that they're available for you to use. The other thing, that's with images, but with text, you want to be very careful about how you're doing text. You don't want to be creating your text in a word processing document like Word, because when you copy it into the website, even Weebly, it's going to take some of that formatting that came with Word, and it's going to make your when we talked about consistency before, one of the consistency issues is, the fonts and the size of your text and things like that. And if you copy from a Word document into Weebly, it's going to make that be inconsistent. So what I do with everything, with all text, whether I'm creating it from scratch, typing it out, or I'm copying it, pasting it from another location because I'm, quoting, I don't know, text or something, I'll copy it and paste it on a Mac, text edit, and on a PC notepad. I'll copy and paste it here so it strips out any formatting that it came with, and then I'll copy it into my Weebly website from WordPad or TextEdit. So those are my two editing tool recommendations. So I'm going to link a video I created on how to use Weebly that I made several months ago, and I think that'll give you a good introduction. And then either later today or in a couple of days, I will make a video that goes into a little more in depth on how to use Weebly. So good luck, and I look forward to getting your questions and comments and thoughts. Thanks. Bye.